Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Overcoming Graduation with Brian Drury, a show where I work to teach you everything I wished I'd known about habit and mindset to help you begin creating your dream life starting today. Today is another installment of The Morning Commute, where I take my ride to work in the morning to share a short but powerful message with you to help you kick your day off on the right foot. And today's message is this feeling. If you've ever heard of the music group the Chainsmokers, they're one of my all-time favorites. They have several songs that have come to me at certain pivotal moments, or they've punctuated certain times in my life. And I love the vibe, I love the feel. A lot of their songs are uplifting and have like a real positive message, so I love their stuff. And recently, they came out with a song called This Feeling, not too long ago. And in the song, it has this great build, a great drop. It's really well done, but there's a line that says, they tell me think with my head, not this thing inside my chest. And that line in particular, because a lot of these types of DJs or these people that are making this type of music talk about the general reality most people live in, or what most of us are fed, or how most of us are taught to think or behave or feel. And their music and their expression is an example of going against the norm to believe in what they want to do, and now they're out doing it. They're doing what they love. They're doing the thing that brings them joy. They're doing the thing that allows them to share their creation with the world. And that's why I believe other people's creation inspires us. It's not the particular type of music or the particular type of instrument. I mean, we can be dazzled or mystified by certain talents. A violinist who does things that we're like, it feels like they have 17 hands. How is that possible? But yet, what I think is much deeper, what I think is much bigger is people engaging with their own creation and engaging with their deeper self and their deeper knowing that this is what they want to do, and seeing people experience true joy. I think we see it as a reflection. My mentor Sean Stevenson talks about our mirror neurons, where we reflect emotion, where we experience back and forth between people. Why we can see someone going through something, having never met them, knowing nothing about their story, but we see them hurting or we see them happy, and we can experience those same emotions. So when we see someone and we believe, we go, that person is doing it. They're living their dream. They're in their moment. They're in their purpose. We go, wow, because it flickers. It lights the fire. It stokes the flames of what we want to do and what we are capable of doing as well. Now, after that flame gets stoked, what do we do with it? They tell me, think with my head, not this thing inside my chest. Well, oh no, here comes rational thought. And I'm doing air quotes there, because I'm not saying let's be irrational all the time. Sometimes let's be irrational in the sense of going against what most would consider to be rational. Because, guys, like, one of the big lessons that I have learned and that I want to share is it's not... I don't ever want to be a statistic unless I pick which statistic I want to be. What I mean by that is there are lots of statistics people will apply to you based on where you're from, based off how you grew up, based off the number of parents you had at home. They will tell you based off of your socioeconomic status. They will tell you based off the type of school you went to that statistically, here's what happens. They will tell you that statistically it'll take this long to recover from that broken leg, that they will tell you statistically 50% of marriages fail, and then 30% of second marriages. I mean, the numbers just drop and drop and drop. They will tell you that statistically 50% of businesses fail within the first 2 years, and they will throw statistics at you to define and capture what your life is going to be. Why? Why do people do that? Because it simplifies things. Because our mind is constantly looking to simplify, understand, and make life make sense. So if your mind goes, well, we've got numbers that we can tie to us, lots of people say these numbers, and therefore it must be true. Because there's whatever you've heard most recently, so that's recency bias. There's bias of when you hear it, the prevalence, so that you hear it more frequently. And, okay, if I hear it a lot, and I hear it recently, and what if I hear it from credible sources? What if it's doctors and people with lots of letters after their last name telling me, well, that means it's true for me too then, right? And so I can just accept that and stop trying. If I know 50% of marriages end in divorce, doesn't mean I won't necessarily try to get a relationship, but maybe I'll just pick relationships that I know will end well, or that will end poorly, or that don't have a good chance of lasting because, well, 50% in a marriage, or end in divorce. So, I mean, hey, that's, this is what I'm supposed to live, right? This is the statistic I'm supposed to be. When people tell us, 50% of businesses end within the first 2 years. Well, okay, I'm going to try, again, doing air quotes, this whole business thing, but then when it gets hard, I'm going to quit. Or I'm going to set myself up to fail. I'm going to take on too much debt. I'm going to not think things through. I'm going to listen to poor advice that says, jump and the net will appear, with no plan, no idea, and nothing set up. So I don't want to be the statistics that people tell us we will be. And here's the interesting thing, guys. A lot of times it's nobody actually telling it to us. These are just things that we hear a lot about people in general. We hear statistically, or scientifically speaking, it is generally more difficult to acquire a secondary language or an additional language after a certain age. And I've heard 12 to 14. People will go, and the reason I bring this one up is because I speak 2 other languages, one of which I taught myself, one of which I learned more predominantly through school and then to study abroad. So many people say, well, I'm just too old. Statistically speaking, most people my age don't. Scientifically speaking, it's harder. So therefore, I'm just going to not. Because the numbers, can't argue with math and science, can you? True, in some cases. You can't argue with a mathematical calculation, and you can't argue with a certain statistic. But you can choose which statistic you are. You can choose to be the rule, the generally accepted principle. You can choose to be just another piece of validating evidence for a scientific theory that has been put out to the world and then validated based off certain data sets. Or you can be the exception. The interesting thing is, guys, a lot of these statistics, we don't even know where they come from. And I'm not saying I do either. I've realized this gap in my knowledge, but I also challenge that in that I don't know where the 50% marriage statistic comes from. I don't know where the 50% business statistic comes from. I don't know where they're getting this. And what I have found is I've heard people that I really respect, mentors, podcasters, entrepreneurs talk about these things, and they've done the research and gone into the statistics. When you hear where it's coming from, you go, wait a second, that's not so true. Like, wait, they're including every type of business? What about just this type of business or this industry? Oh, those numbers are a lot better. Or, oh, in some cases, maybe they're worse. So the actual understanding of where it's coming from changes our perception of the reality. And then, additionally, regardless of whether or not the 50% statistic on this is right or wrong, do you want to be a part of that? That's the important thing for me, is what statistic do you want to be? Do you want to be the rule that's telling people that they're not enough, or do you want to be the exception that proves the human potential and capacity to choose and act differently? Do you want to be the rule? And here's the thing, I say rule because that's what people believe it is. It's not a rule. There are people that challenge and negate and disprove those theories all the time, but then what do statistics do? Statistics take a large sample size. So if out of 99 people you're the one that doesn't, they go, well, yeah, no, it's still true because 99% do it. And you go, yeah, but it's not true for me. These feelings that we chase, this light that shines from people that are creating, that feeling that is generated is the result of someone not conforming to the norms of fear, the norms of settling, the norms of just good enough life, the norms of just do something just to make money. The people that are challenging that are the ones that are allowing us to go, wait a second, if they can, I can too. And then we go, no, they're so different. But then we get to know these people and we're like, no, they're a regular, flawed, scared, up and down, emotional human being just like me, and they can do it. Well, wait, what's stopping me? The first piece is accepting the possibility and the potential. The second thing is saying, all right, well, how do I get started? Because sometimes you already know everything you need. It's like, yeah, I've opened and run 3 different businesses and they failed. I know what to do now, so let me learn from that and improve. Other times it's like, I don't know what to do. It's like, all right, Google. Start on Google. There are so many free resources. Find people that are effective, that you can trust, that have good reviews, that are driven by the values that you want. It's something that I heard from Dean Graziosi. Find people who have the results you want, learn from them. And when you think of that, look at it holistically. Don't just look at how much money they make. Look at their family life. Look at their health. Look at all their spirituality, the different aspects of relationship. Because you go, man, this guy's really good at teaching people how to make money. And it's like, yeah, but he's been divorced 6 times and his health is in the gutter and all these things. So you could learn from him and he will teach you his ways to get exactly where he went. Or you can find somebody who's generated massive wealth by creating massive value and wealth in all areas. Wealth financially, relationally, in spirituality, in their health, everything. So when you think about the feeling that is generated by observing something that evokes wonder, that Andrew Stanton says in his TEDx or his TED Talk, that one of the greatest gifts we can give another human being is wonder. When there's something that evokes wonder, recognize why. It is because it is abnormal. It is because it is not the general statistic. It is because it goes against the grain in a beautiful way that represents a different possibility that exists for you and all of us. So as you think today, take a moment to think about the last thing that generated that feeling, that made you go, wow, human beings are fucking awesome. And then, next say, what statistic do I want to be? What type of statistic do I want to represent? Do I want to be that big bell right in the middle of the roughly 50% fall here, and then there's a plus or minus here, and then there's those tails off on the ends. Those small exceptions. Very, very few do this, but there are those. Generally, those ones out on the tails are the ones inspiring, motivating, and changing not just their own lives, but the world. And how do we change the world? We start with changing our internal world. Then, if others are interested in how we've done it, we share with them. And then we empower them to do the same for others. And then that grows, and it multiplies and it multiplies. And as we act as multipliers in this world, we have the capacity to impact this world. I know that dream of changing the world is a massive one. It starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with us individually. And then we connect person by person, day by day, build and grow, and share our message in love. So today, what kind of statistic do you want to be? And how can you take one step today to move towards becoming the statistic that you want to be and creating the feelings you want in your life? I want to thank you all for listening today. This has been another episode of Overcoming Graduation with Brian Drury, and I love you all for being here. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Stitcher or Google Play so you can make sure you get the most up-to-date episodes in the palm of your hand right when they are released. If you'd like to reach out to me directly, you can contact me at brian@overcominggraduation.com. That's Brian with an I at overcominggraduation.com to give feedback on the show, ask a question, talk about a topic you'd like for me to discuss, or just share a funny story. I'd love to hear from you guys. So take the time today, slow down, take a moment, think about what you can do to take that one step to become the statistic that you want to be, then go ahead and take it. I love you guys. Have a great day. I will talk to you again real soon.